I'm sure you were tempted, or maybe some people have asked you, why volleyball? I know the answer from a startup principal, but walk us through your decision and how that's affected you in staying in volleyball.
Definitely. And I have a lot of thoughts around this. So, first off, we have tested a ton of other sports. The numbers behind volleyball blew them all out of the water. And the big reason for that actually goes back to that rally sport term I use. So, other rally sports would be things like tennis, ping pong, badminton, anytime rallies take place between two players. Most rally sports, again, skill level is really important because if players aren't on a similar level, rallies can't take place. However, most rally sports only have 2 to 4 players, right?
Gotcha.
Volleyball has 12, right? 12 on a court. Getting 12 volleyball players of a similar skill level together is extremely difficult. So because we built out a platform that makes that exceptionally easy, I mean, we built a viral, sticky platform that is pretty easy to grow in new cities even, which, I mean, most networks tend to be pretty difficult to do that for. When it comes to other sports, we could fork off, I think, a different app, right? And solve all the sport-specific nuances of those other sports, because every sport does have their own nuances. People in the sports are looking for different things. And that could be a long-term play we take. Another potentially exciting long-term play we have that we're actually currently executing on is we have a leaderboard for like different teams on our platform. Because we've actually not only do drop-in volleyball, we have expanded into tournaments, leagues, training sessions. So all the teams that compete on our platform, we have leaderboards for based on their performance. And I think in the long term, we can eventually, have kind of a high certainty on where the best teams in each city are, where and when they're playing, and then eventually start selling streaming and licensing rights to these games. This is a sense of almost like a democratized professional volleyball league where anyone can put together a team, compete in their city, and potentially win their way to competing on their local television. I think it's a very cool business there. And we think it's a cool opportunity because volleyball in the pro space, at least, is still relatively uncharted in North America.
It's a massive TAM in the sense that you've got so many people who are exposed to volleyball, know how to play volleyball. I remember, that's just a module that you did in phys ed during junior high, high school. A lot of fun when it works. And you're picking a very difficult problem that other people don't want to look at. But then you could ride that tab because all volleyball has to do, you just have to have a Caitlin Clark moment for WNBA, right? You just need that one moment, and then you're there right on the ground floor, and then you're writing your own checks. You got your blank check. Pretty much that's what it is. So I really appreciate the way that you niched yourself. And this is the principle. I want everybody to listen. The riches are in the niches in the beginning. Go to a niche and then expand from there. You have to expand from there once you've dominated that niche and you're going to generalize, but the riches are in the niches. It's fantastic. Okay. So, but I'm curious because I have contacts in the ultimate Frisbee space. I would think that ultimate, the field version, not disc golf, it's a completely different thing, would sort of lend itself to what you're building. Am I wrong?
So yes, and we actually did test ultimate. Issue with ultimate, well, there's a few potential issues. First off, us being in Canada, we get a ton of seasonality. So people would play ultimate outside in the summer and then move inside in the winter. The second issue, and this is actually another issue similar to basketball, is most ultimate players aren't really willing to pay for ultimate. Similar with basketball, most basketball players aren't really willing to pay for basketball. They kind of view them as sports that should be free.
Gotcha.
Every volleyball player is willing to pay for volleyball. So
I love it.
It's actually a much bigger potential business when it comes to just the drop-in space.
I love how much customer discovery that you've done. Huge amounts. When you say cerebral, you have thought it through and you are a thought leader in that space. That's fantastic. Let me take a little bit of a separate fork in this conversation. Talk to me about your friends, family, and associates raise. How much, if you can share, just in general figures, did you raise and how did you go about doing it? Because a lot of our founders, they need to do that before going to VC. I'm going to talk about VC and your experience with that in just a moment, but FFA.
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, I knew some people in my immediate network who had some money. I was building early on though, and we kind of thought we didn't really need much external funding. So we were just building for a while. We started, I don't know, I think it was when we hit like 6 figures. I was talking to some investors and I had someone give me a yes in 2022, late 2022. At that point, instead of taking their money, I just kind of went internal and I said, all right, so we got a yes from these like investors. Would you be interested in investing instead? And they kind of said yes. So I went with their money instead because fundamentally, I think it's better to support the people close to you. That was kind of how we made that decision. In terms of actual like talking to these investors, essentially what the strategy was is reach out to a lot of founders on LinkedIn or otherwise, do some intro calls with them, see if they'd be willing to intro me to anyone in their network. And I mean, you got to do that a ton, like reach out to hundreds, thousands of people to eventually start getting enough investor intros to actually start moving the needle in terms of meeting volume. It was, again, enough for us to get to profitable and a decent size in Toronto. And for us to expand outside of that, I might need some more money. So, and yeah, the range is in the 6-figure range, but we don't have the official announcement live there.